with the breaking news from Los Angeles yesterday. The Rams winning Super Bowl 56. They defeated the Cincinnati Bengals 23-20 right at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. It's been electric, and it's been lit in the city of Los Angeles for really the last 24 hours in the last 2 weeks as fans were flocking over to Los Angeles. It's been crowded, it's been busy, and it's all paid off for Los Angeles fans, for Angelinos such as myself, because the Rams are now Super Bowl champions for the first time, at least in Los Angeles, since 1951. That's correct. It's been 72 years since the Los Angeles Rams, remember its inception was as a team in Los Angeles before it moved to St. Louis. St. Louis was the last time. The St. Louis Rams were the last Rams team to actually claim a Super Bowl. That was with Kurt Warner in 2000. They beat the Tennessee Titans 23. Funny enough, they scored 23 points in that game as well, 23-16. Marshall Faulk, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt. And that's how long it's been. But since the Los Angeles Rams have won the Super Bowl, it's been 72 years. It is a magical feeling right now in Los Angeles. It's a special, special moment for all Los Angeles fans, for sports fans to see this. And I think that this was one of the most electrifying Super Bowls we've seen in quite some time, because the fact that it was taking place at SoFi Stadium in Hollywood, it truly embodied that entertainment capital, that star-studded affair that we were all expecting and that we were all perhaps hoping for once it was determined that SoFi was going to be hosting the Super Bowl 56 this year. The stars were in attendance. You had Jay-Z, you had J-Lo, Ben Affleck, LeBron, Matt Damon, so many athletes across the board that were in attendance. Then Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was doing the player intros and the team intros on the field. I think he was trying to replace Michael Buffer. I don't know if Michael Buffer is low-key in his room kind of sulking and kind of snarking at Dwayne Johnson for trying to perhaps take his patented kind of job in essence. But regardless, all the stars were out. It was truly emblematic of what Hollywood is, of what going all out and above and beyond is. And they absolutely nailed it from that perspective. And I just think it was one of those few Super Bowls where you're watching both of these two teams, and there aren't very many antagonists. From a narrative perspective, there aren't too many players that you truly have disdain for. I think that everyone universally really respected Matthew Stafford. I think that players and media and fans really appreciate Matthew Stafford and were genuinely happy and elated for him that after 12 years of misery in Detroit, he's able to come to a better location in his mind and deliver his family, deliver the Rams a title. I think that people were ecstatic about the narrative surrounding Joe Burrow and the road that it took for the Cincinnati Bengals to reach the Super Bowl. So I think that there were a lot of very likable players, likable characters in this Super Bowl. And so often it is that narrative that ends up drawing interest, that ends up generating buzz. And I think this was one of those few matchups where there weren't going to be very many bad outcomes. I think that this was a win-win for sports fans. I think this was a win-win for NFL fans. And when it actually comes to the game, the start of the game couldn't have gone any better for the Rams. They started out really, really well. Matthew Stafford was on fire. He was cooking, finding Kupp, finding OBJ early. OBJ was fantastic. He was on pace to perhaps have an incredible Super Bowl. He had 2 catches for 52 yards, a touchdown. It was truly heartbreaking and devastating to see him go down with that non-contact knee injury. There are reports coming out of the Rams this morning that they fear it might be an ACL injury, which was the same ACL injury that he sustained on that knee that he tore just a couple years ago. So that was really just really dampened and kind of soured what otherwise was a tremendous, tremendous night of football. Prayers up to OBJ. I hope that he gets better and recovers soon from whatever that was. But the reality is, for the first quarter and a half, the Rams were the dominant team. They led 13-3. And from that point on, from OBJ's injury on, there just seemed to be a swell of momentum that shifted in the direction of the Bengals. And they capitalized. They exploited that. And that's what ultimately led to the offense stalling. I thought that OBJ's presence really freed up the Rams, allowed them to call a lot more plays. It made Matthew Stafford a lot more comfortable having two legit wideouts to target. And once OBJ went down, the Bengals could zero in on Cooper Kupp. The run game wasn't establishing anything. To the Bengals' defensive credit, they were stout defensively. They were getting pressure on Matthew Stafford. And the Bengals went on a 17-0 run from that point on. From 13-3, when OBJ goes down, they go on a 17-0 run. And the outcome or the outlook just seemed very bleak and very dire for the Rams. And unfortunately, it was appearing like this was going to be an ill-fated game for the Rams, because this game, this entire season, this entire postseason, the Rams have just always seemed destined to come up short. And this is coming from someone who's been rooting for the LA Rams this entire postseason, and since they've always been a part of the city of Los Angeles. When you look at their road outside of the Arizona Cardinals game and the wild card game at Tampa Bay, they're up 27-3. They nearly blow that game. Against the 49ers. They're down by 10 in the fourth quarter. Matthew Stafford throws a ball that probably should be picked, and fortunately it's dropped by a kid named Tart. And now against the Bengals, their offense was stalled. It was sputtering. They seemed to be out of sync. They couldn't establish anything on the run game. And yet, what the Rams showed, like they have been showing all season, is an immense amount of resilience, of perseverance, of an unwillingness to concede anything, to acquiesce, and to just fold over. They're playing with no Robert Woods, no Tyler Higbee. Now OBJ goes down. You can't establish the run game. They had like 23 carries for 43 yards. It was going nowhere. And the first play of the second half is a 75-yard touchdown bomb from Burrow to T. Higgins. No offensive pass interference called on the face mask grab on Jalen Ramsey. And then on the very next possession for the Rams on the first play, it's a little slant over the middle, and Matthew Stafford throws it a little bit behind Skoranek, but he still can't make the grab. And he bobbles the ball, and it's intercepted. And you just felt like, here we go again. This is going to be a game that the Rams are going to end up dreading, and they're going to lose the Super Bowl. And yet they found a way to dig deep. The defense stepped up in a huge way, and they just started wreaking havoc all over the field. Aaron Donald became a menace. Von Miller returned back to his Super Bowl MVP days with the Denver Broncos. And it was just their refusal to let this game slip away. And that's what ultimately changed, because the Bengals had that big lead. They're up 17. They're up 7, 20-13. And again, you just sense the fact that, especially after that pick from Matthew Stafford, that ability of the Rams defense to hold them to a field goal was absolutely critical. Because at that juncture in the game, everything had shifted in Cincinnati's way. Everything. And so the other thing that I think is important to note is the defense bought Matthew Stafford and the offense so many more extra possessions to just continue to chip away, and find opportunities to get into the back of the end zone. And at the end of the day, when the rubber needed to meet the road, And Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Johnson, Ashawn Robinson, all these guys were making plays and giving the offense opportunities. The Rams turned to their two best guys, the two guys that have carried them on the offensive side of the ball all season, Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp. They're two best offensive players. They rode each other. Stafford rode Cooper Kupp that entire critical last game-winning drive. And that, in a nutshell, explains who those two guys have been. They've been the best 1-2 duo in the league all year. To show the type of trust on 4th and 1, to go with an end around to Cooper Kupp at your own 30. And McVay hadn't had much success running the football at all. He picks up a first down. Then Stafford hits Kupp for 4 receptions over that drive, multiple first downs. In fact, he actually scores a touchdown pass, gets popped in the back of the end zone. It's called off and it's nullified because of offensive holding. You have to redo it. He's able to draw three either penalties or PI calls against the Bengals on that game-winning drive. Then you go with a 1-yard fade to him in the end zone, which is something you hadn't done all season, and he converts for you. He makes the catch. He wins that one-on-one battle against Eli Apple. It's just the connection and the trust that those two guys have built throughout the course of the season. It came to fruition. And it showed out in a big way, and it became crystal clear the type of impact that those two guys had all season. And that was just a very small microcosm. That one drive was a microcosm of, again, the relationship that those two have cultivated throughout the entire season. And you complement that, again, with the defense just neutralizing the Bengals offensively over their last 5 possessions, the Cincinnati Bengals. It's 4 straight punts and then a turnover on downs. And I think that Aaron Donald, again, left his imprint. He made his mark. He put his stamp on this game, and I think it was just kind of poetic justice that he was the one to, in essence, cinch up this game for the Rams, applying all kinds of pressure. He nearly sacked Joe Burrow on that final play, obviously wrapped him up and nearly brought him down. And for a guy in Aaron Donald who has floated the idea of retirement, still young, just the age of 30, obviously, I hope that he doesn't retire. But if he does decide to call it a career, what a career it would have been. 8 years in the NFL. He's been a Pro Bowler all 8 times, 7 consecutive first-team All-Pro selections, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year award, which is tied for the most, and now a Super Bowl champion. It's just a legendary career. A legendary career if he decides to call it a quit. Obviously, we hope that he doesn't, just because as NFL fans of the talent that he is. But I think once again, what we saw shine the brightest and peer through was the theme of aggressiveness, the theme of boldness paying off, paying dividends. The teams that show the most ambition and the most kind of pluckiness, they get rewarded. And that's what we had seen the Rams do over the last several years. This didn't just happen overnight. They made substantial trades. They mortgaged their future. They sacrificed draft picks over the next 4 or 5 years to trade for Jalen Ramsey, to trade away Jared Goff for Matthew Stafford, to acquire OBJ, to trade for Von Miller. They showed a daringness, a boldness, again, a pluckiness to go all in, in the hopes of capturing that elusive Super Bowl. And they finally did it. And the fact that this organization showed that aggressiveness, again, there was so much pressure on this organization being applied not only by pundits, but by Stan Kroenke, the owner, on Sean McVay, on Les Snead, on the players to execute and to perform, and the fact that they were able to withstand that type of pressure and to harness it, to channel it, and actually deliver. It's an incredible feeling. It's an incredible feeling. I'm happy for the organization. It's extra special that they got to win it at SoFi, the second consecutive team in NFL history to win the Super Bowl in their home stadium. It had never been done before prior to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year. Now you follow it up this year to win in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium. It's spectacular, and it's a perfect ending to a Hollywood story for the Rams to win. It truly is. And I think that it's also only fitting that the Rams, en route to winning their Super Bowl, had to go through Tom Brady, had to retire the best man, retire the GOAT en route to winning. It's only fitting that was needed, that you'd have to knock out Tom Brady to win a Super Bowl. And it's just a huge congratulations to that franchise, huge congratulations to the Rams on an incredible, incredible season and an incredible, incredible Super Bowl. It was just a fantastic game, an entertaining game from start to finish.